What's up guys, Max here, back with some impressions and some tips that could hopefully give you a little bit of luck with the latest released character that came out for Killer Instinct a couple of days ago, named Con Ra. You guys are probably all too familiar with this guy and his giant bucket of soup that he loves throwing around all so often, but he's a very interesting character, and like I've explained a few times during the stream when I have played him, he fulfills a character slot in Killer Instinct that hasn't really been done yet. Glacius before was known as the most proficient kind of zoning character, but Glacius also isn't too bad up close, and he does a lot of freaking damage. His zoning isn't absolutely amazing, but Glacius does have access to keep you away at distance, and he likes you being there. Con Ra kind of has to have you be there. He doesn't really do well up close in any way, having the worst close-range normal attacks most likely in the entire game. Con Ra is all about being at distance, and while Glacius is a ranged character with good damage, or an okay ranged character with good damage, Con Ra is an excellent ranged character with pretty poor damage. So it can be kind of hard to get that decent amount of damage with Con Ra unless you just get like a billion heavy auto doubles. But what you do get a lot of damage from is those little things here and there, having bugs out, able to get in a jumping cross-up. A lot of those little random hits will get you damage, and you'll notice that with Con Ra, you'll have to be hitting your opponent a lot to kill them. In Killer Instinct Season 2, it seems that between two or three combos, between any other character in the cast, you can kind of get a kill in most of the time, especially on a couple of lockouts. With Con Ra, you gotta kind of hit him like 4 to 6 times if you actually want to get that first bar KO, and it might take even more later on if they start breaking the heck out of you. He is not an easy to use character, and to be completely honest, the first couple of hours you're going to be using Con Ra are going to be fairly frustrating. When I was doing so, it took a long time to get kind of used to his nuances, how his combos feel, because they do feel fundamentally different than every other character in the game, and he covers himself with dust a lot of the time in the sand, and that kind of covers up the pace and the sequence, which can be advantageous for you when you're in a combo, but it also can be very jarring when you're first getting used to the character. Con Ra is easily the most difficult character to learn in the entire game, and you have to stick to that game plan. Now, before I go in and start talking a bit about the things that you can do better to make yourself more efficient with Con Ra, there's a few things that you'll have to kind of overcome with the character, and it's that you need to acknowledge that you're going to be playing him from distance. There can be some Con Ras that do a little bit of rushdown, but you're eventually going to get murdered by something up close, and you play best at that long screen distance, which is kind of tough for me personally. I do like characters that play the mid-screen zoning or the close range kind of like offense a little bit more than the other characters that play best at full screen, which is kind of some of the issues I was having with Fulgore, and Con Ra is easily best at full screen, and that's kind of undeniable to the point. So when it comes to a lot of that patience and you have to sit full screen and just wait for them to come to you, I start to feel pretty freaking guilty if everyone's just constantly jumping into bugs and they have no idea what to do to get around your stuff. And it's not that I feel like bad that I'm about to win in a very keep away fashion. It's just I don't find that as entertaining, so I don't think Con Ra really is a character for me. However, if you're a person that likes zoning, if you're a person that has been looking for that kind of a character outside of Glacius or something like that, holy god, Con Ra is exactly what you have been looking for. There's another interesting thing as well. In the matches I was playing, I feel that Con Ra might actually kind of destroy a couple of characters pretty hard that some people have some issues with. More notably Saberwolf and most likely Thunder. I think these two matchups might be the most in Con Ra's favor if things go a specific way. I don't think the matchup is specifically even, but I think that if Con Ra can get Saberwolf or Thunder away from him and be consistent and actually keep them away for the majority of the match, that you can do pretty damn good. It's almost impossible for these characters to get in with the resources they have available if you constantly are using Con Ra efficiently as a keep-away character. That stuff gets extremely rough, to the point of which my only 3-hour Con Ra were taking out over ranked 35 Saberwolves every once in a while, and I was like, holy god, this seems a little crazy. Early on, it feels that Con Ra's weaknesses are definitely teleport characters because they can kind of just ignore that stuff. and get in on you willy-nilly like Spinal and Fulgore, but I haven't played a lot of the opposite end. I haven't played much Spinal or Fulgore against him, but I was having trouble fighting a few of those characters when I was as Con-Ra. So here's my advice for you guys if you're looking into understanding how Con-Ra is playing and you actually want to learn this character. First and foremost, acknowledge that you're going to be playing him from that ranged distance. You're going to have to zone the opponent out and keep them out as much as possible. The other thing is that consistently have either bugs or a sand trap on the ground. You can call sand by doing a variety of heavy kick attacks. You can also do sand by the command Masup attack, which is the sand spike, and that automatically puts something there. And if you do have your opponent afraid that they're going to jump into bugs, which does pretty good damage, just like 5 to 10% even if they just jump into one, and they're sitting on the ground a lot, start immediately pressuring them with the command moves that come out of the sand attack. So you call up a Masup right on them, and that spike comes out, and that spike will leave the sand trap. Since the spike tracks the opponent, that puts a sand trap right underneath the opponent, and if they're sitting on the ground, start doing the down forward with kicks, which is the little poking things like the scorpion tail and the big antlion thing that comes up and grabs and allows you to combo. If that thing doesn't hit, it doesn't pull you in, but if it does hit, it pulls you in and gets you a full combo. That stuff is extremely deadly because it tracks the opponent once you do that sand spike. And I'll tell you right now, one of the easiest ways to mess with your opponent is to curse them either by grabbing them or by poking them with one of those command moves that comes out of the sand trap, and that makes them go extremely slow. It makes their jump very floaty, and it's very hard for them to actually combo normally. All their auto doubles, everything is slower, and even when Con-Ra is slow, you'll notice that if you're cursed, your regular sand spin attack, which recaptures and combos, doesn't combo anymore because you're moving slower. Couple of interesting tidbits. There's a few Con-Ras out there that are extremely good. I was definitely still learning. I don't think he's going to be a character I'm going to stick with, but he definitely is going to be an interesting character to the roster. And right now, whether or not he's amazing, whether or not he's broken, I do feel that he has some very good matchups in his favor and some pretty bad ones at the same time, so it's kind of hard to say. But he does not seem like a bad dude at all, even though he's an extremely bad kind of guy. As always, dudes, thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned because the entire week of Con-Ra presented in a beautiful 1080p and 60 frames per second will be going up on this channel very soon, and you can watch my progress with the character as I learn, and you get to see all these individual things kind of happen through the progress of that week of. As always, guys, thanks a ton for watching, and stay tuned for more Killer Instinct news as we kind of dissect a lot of the information that's popped up over the past week in regards to Riptor, what Riptor looks like, and what Riptor might be potentially playing like when we see her release in the end of December. Thank you guys very much, and I'll see you next time.